Let's make some noise. Come on.
Right indeed, Nick Foles. Sorry, Super Bowl MVP Nick Foles. Let's make some noise. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another riveting episode of The Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network with MattyB on the call. It is Monday night, January the 5th. And boy, oh boy, we have a bunch of stuff to get into tonight all over the place. Football, hockey, baseball's back in the news. Yes, the Phillies made a move today. Relax. The move the Phillies made will have instant ramifications. Not instant, will have ramifications a little bit later on down the line. Ain't going to help them out on opening day, but it might come in handy a little bit later on in the summer. So we'll get into that. Of course, the Eagles, once again, as always, top story, top dog today. We also had some it's Black Monday around the NFL. We had some unfortunate terminations around the NFL. Unfortunate from the standpoint that people lost their jobs. Other than that, I'm sure the fan bases of those teams affected were quite happy about it. We'll talk Black Monday. The theme of the show tonight is rest versus rust, because that is the overarching theme coming out of the Commanders game. It's not the loss, rightfully so. That game really meant nothing. But it's the fact that it could have meant something, right? And we talked about this all last week. What was the smarter thing to do? Rest the players, rest the starters, accept your fate as the number 3 seed, or hope that your backups can propel you to victory over a depleted Washington Commanders squad that was on to their 3rd string quarterback. Now with the prevailing wind coming out of Chicago, the Bears losing against the Lions, it's set up an opportunity for the Eagles to move into that number 2 seed and have to face the Packers versus to have to face the 49ers, which they will on Sunday. So the prevailing wind today is not necessarily the X's and O's with the wins and losses. It's the decision of the CEO, whatever he is, guy named Nick Sirianni, to rest his starters. And I think we talked about it last night. Based on the offense and the way this team has just clunked and clanked offensively pretty much every single week this year, with the exception of a couple games, did they really deserve a game off? I mean, honestly, injury be damned. Did they deserve time off for their performance in 2025? So rest versus rust will be the topic, the main topic, but of course, anything open to Eagles conversation, I am. Also, a bunch of stuff kind of coming down the pike, again, Black Monday related. Was it JG, John Gannon, out in Arizona? Pete Carroll probably begged to be fired in Las Vegas. He got his wish. He's out with the Raiders. Kevin Stefanski, who might be the next Eagles offensive coordinator du jour next year, out in Cleveland. Raheem Morris out in Atlanta. And they join, of course, was it Callahan, who got fired earlier in the season by the Titans, and Dable, who got fired earlier in the season by the New York Giants. So the body count is up to 6 when it comes to NFL coaches getting the axe this year. And we can definitely talk about if that has any ramification. I mentioned Kevin Stefanski is going to be a name that you're going to hear from the time, if this season doesn't end in the right way, if this season doesn't end with a Super Bowl, if this season doesn't end with a birth of an Eagles dynasty, you're going to hear Kevin Stefanski's name just about every day in the offseason linked to the potential job opening again of the Eagle offensive coordinator if the Eagles move on from Kevin Petullo. And, of course, we'll have to deal with that. Now, of course, most of these links will come from people's heads, right? I love how stuff gets started. It gets started by someone's thought. Someone that has nothing to do with the football team, someone like me, throws down their thoughts onto a computer screen, and before you know it, the thing grows legs, and the Eagles are linked to Kevin Stefanski. But that's obviously going to be a main topic in the offseason about where the Eagles' direction, especially if things don't end up as Super Bowl champions. The offense will certainly get the yeoman blame of what went wrong here in Philadelphia this year if they don't fulfill their destiny. We can also break down a little bit of the 49er game, because we do have an opponent coming to town on Sunday. The depleted, leaking oil, just happy the season's over. They got to the playoffs. San Francisco 49ers, who resemble a lot of the 2024 Detroit Lions at this stage of the season, just running out of bodies. But there's one body that hasn't broke down, which is probably the more surprising issue or surprising thing for me. And I ran him weekly on my fantasy team, and I want to thank him again for a great season. It's Christian McCaffrey. Now, as long as he's upright and healthy and in the game, there's an issue there. And the Eagles are going to have to pay attention to that. So we can definitely get into some of the 49er talk. It's kind of early in the week for that, but I'm game if you're game to talk about that. And anything else surrounding the Eagles. Baseball, again, as I said, in the news tonight, the Phillies have made a move. Don Mattingly. I called it, man. God damn, I'm smart. I called it. I've been talking Don Mattingly probably, honestly, since Rob Thompson got the job. Since they replaced Thompson with Girardi, I have been mentioning Don Mattingly as a potential long-term. Now, it was manager. I never, connected the dots on him becoming the bench coach, but the manager aspect of it all, I really thought he should have been given the job as the next permanent manager of the Phillies instead of this road they've gone down with Rob Thompson over the last 4 years. But better late than never. Donnie Baseball is now a Philly. Officially takes over as the bench coach. They did a little interview, a weird Zoom call, presser. Rob Thompson was there. It was just a kind of a weird thing to see, but it's available up there on the YouTube if you want to check it out. His little introductory press conference. It's funny though. And, I said this back during the end of the season when Dombrowski said that the Phillies were going to go the route of the on-field MLB coordinator. They were going to create that position because 80% of the teams in MLB have that, which is a lie. About 35% of the teams in MLB have that, but they were going to create that position, and they were going to put their current bench coach in that position, thus opening up the bench coach job. And very specifically, Dave Dombrowski said, we're looking for somebody with prior managerial experience in the major leagues. I don't know about you, but I can read between the lines probably as good as anybody out there. That spelled, basically he should have just said, when Thompson screws this up, because I haven't adequately given him a team, because we're going back with the same thing, and if it comes out of the gates wonky, and come June 1st, we're sitting 7-8 games out of first place, 2, 3, 4 games under 500. We're dead in the water. No one's listening. Kyle Schwarber's basically inserting himself anywhere in the batting order where he sees fit, and we have to make a move. I can have a Don Mattingly there to replace Rob Thompson, at least for the rest of 2026. Now, it's funny, in the press conference, Mattingly stated that his managerial days were behind him. He didn't want to manage anymore. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. He didn't say anything about interim manager, but he did say he didn't want to manage anymore. But so Don Mattingly was officially named the Phillies bench coach. So a bunch of stuff on the table tonight as we kick off our Monday night here on the program. Michael Papernick checks in. I don't want Kevin Stefanski as his dad. Ed Stefanski is the one who started the Sixers process. So who cares, man? Jeez. 30 degrees to this process right there, Papernick. I'm not saying I want him either, but you know as well as I do, if things go off the proverbial rails, if this offense, God help them, in game 19 or game 18, can't figure themselves out, and we go down to the 49ers, or even if we get past the 49ers, we get past them 11-10 on a last-second, pick six or something like that, and then we go into week 2 or the divisional round against, is it going to be LA or whoever? It's off. It's going to be pretty much off. Unless Carolina pulls off the upset of the millennia and beats the Rams. But, as soon as the offense continues to sputter and they fail, that's all everyone's going to talk about. because the blame will not be shifted where it needs to be, right? We're not going to talk about Jalen Hurts. We're not going to talk about the $200 million offense investment that has gone up in smoke. We won't talk about that. We'll shift the blame onto the coach. We'll shift the blame onto the offensive coordinator. And we'll fire him. He'll be sacrificed to the altar of the homers so that they can get another OC in here. And we'll go right back through this process again. And yes, Kevin Stefanski's name, get used to it, Kaepernick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it to you. You know it as well as I do. We're going to obsess over this. We're going to place blame. If this thing doesn't work, we're going to place it right on the shoulders of Petula. And we're going to say it was his fault, not Jalen Hurts, not the offensive line, not the running backs, not Saquon Barkley falling off the face of the earth. Yes, having a 1,000-yard season, but not a 2,500-yard season. We're going to place the blame on the offensive coordinator that he was, as I've said multiple times on this show, standing on the sidelines, twisting his handlebar mustache, going, I'm going to run it up the middle again because that's what I want to do. We're going to place the blame on him. We're not going to look deeper. And we're not going to get into the mud, so to speak, and find out why Jalen Hurts attempted 545 passes this year, but only completed 51 of them down the middle for less than 10%. Right? We're going to ask why Jalen Hurts' designed run plays per average this season were about one a game. I'm not going to ask those questions. Right? We're not going to ask. We're not going to dig in. We're just going to scapegoat the offensive coordinator. And that's going to fix the offense, apparently. Even though we've been down this road literally every single year since 2021. Just saying, buckle up, because you know it's coming. You know it's coming. So anyway, here on the network, we got the schedule out last night. I told you I would. It was a hell of a game. Did you guys catch that Steelers game? Man, game of the year, man. That's what I'm talking about. And why is it every time I watch a game like that, it kind of goes back and forth, and I envision our quarterback in that situation, and I keep thinking to myself, there's no way he could do any of this. There's no way Jalen Hurts could replicate what Aaron Rodgers did last night. And there's absolutely no way Jalen Hurts could replicate what Lamar Jackson did to literally will his team back. That's a quarterback in Lamar Jackson. And again, everyone's going to go, well, you know, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. Okay. Yeah, you're right. But he's also won the MVP twice. Not the Super Bowl MVP, but I mean the MVP award twice. I'm watching them two guys go back and forth thinking there's no way in hell Jalen Hurts could do any of this. Absolutely not. And that absolutely scares the hell out of me. It scares the living hell out of me. But what a hell of a game last night. Anyway, on the network, you got the Pittsburgh Sports tonight, earlier. You got me now. Tomorrow, Pittsburgh Sports again. Props, locks, and parlays, the final word, and the Flyers and Ducks post-game. I am on post-game duties tomorrow, as you can see by the graphic there. I got you for the post-game. I have not decided what I want to do about that. I don't know if I want to run one of the 2-for-1s. Probably will run a 2-for-1. We'll do a final word and then go right into the post-game when it comes final. I'll watch the game over here. I have a command center here. There's a computer monitor right there. There's one over here. There's one over here. There's another one over there. Like I'm literally, after I'm done with this, I'm going to start the combat operation to overtake Colombia. So that's kind of the setup I got going on over here. So I just want to let you know I'm pressed for some time tonight. So, matters of national security. But I'll probably end up doing a 2-for-1 type situation tomorrow night with the final word and clear the ice. By the way, I'm kidding about the Columbia thing. Everybody relax. Wednesday, you got the Pittsburgh Sports Desk returning from their holiday hiatus. You got me. On Thursday, a to-be-determined time frame for the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. We will be back. I just don't know when. Gridiron Weekly comes back from its holiday hiatus, final word, and then Flyers Maple Leafs postgame. Mike Lauro's on the call. Friday is the Philly Friday Frenzy with Big Al. Saturday morning, starting at 8 o'clock, is the best of the week of the It's a Wrap Sports. You missed all the programming that happened during the week. Don't worry. Starting 8 a.m. on Saturday, we're going to repackage it and send it to you again. Probably will take you throughout the rest of your Saturday if you want to sit and watch Let me talk right now, as I am right at this very second, but 5 days later. Then you got the Flyers and Lightning a little bit later on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, Philly AM Sports kicks it off. We got Eagles 49ers post-game, and then the final word with me. Pittsburgh, of course, is not playing until Monday night, so they'll have the, I believe it's going to be a 5-hour Steel City Sunday post-game show starting at 3 o'clock on Monday. And they're going to take you up to kickoff on Monday night. But we will dominate Sunday, as the Eagles and 49ers post-game show will be the jewel of our show, of our network on Sunday. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but we talked about this way before the season began, or right at the beginning of the season, and we talked about going to a dual host sort of configuration once the playoffs did begin, or even 3 hosts, whoever wanted to jump on. So we'll re-engage that topic this week, and perhaps going forward throughout the rest of this ride in 2025-26, you'll be seeing 2 hosts or multiple hosts on the Birds Flyby. So stay tuned for all that greatness as we get ready for the weekend in NFL football. All right, so let's get it going. Oh, yeah, all the stuff that we're talking about, as well as your day in Philadelphia sports history of the night and your card reviews. We'll get to the card review tonight. I've been real negligent with the card thing lately. I got to get back into that, and tonight we will do the card review. So let's head up with our day of Philadelphia sports history. So let's strap in, strap on, strap up. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we go. I got a 2 for tonight. We got 2 little nuggets of Philadelphia sports history. First one occurred in 1991. I want everybody to think real quick. What were you doing in January of 91? I was a senior in high school. I was about 5 months off from graduating. So I was 17. The hell is my life gone? The hell have I been doing with my life? Jesus Christ. In the long storied history of the Philadelphia Eagles NFC Championship game, when you basically hear that, well, before recent times, when someone would evoke NFC Championship game, especially during the Andy Reid era, that elicited a whole different thought process. That conjured up some really bad memories. Of course, we've sort of exercised that over the past 4 or 5 years. But back then it was a real thing. But before we started talking about NFC Championship game pain, to go back a little further, it was talking about Eagles playoffs what evoked those types of crazy memories and those crazy feelings, because it was a process. Yes, it was. We didn't go from losing a Super Bowl 15 to being terrible to all of a sudden winning Super Bowl 52. Now, there was a process, a long process that took a lot of time, a lot of blood, a lot of sweat, and a lot of tears. It was a roller coaster. You come up Super Bowl 15, you go down Marion Campbell, you're down here, and it sort of crashed. But in around 1987, 86, the roller coaster leveled out when Buddy Ryan came here. It really did. And again, I don't want to get into an argument with younger Eagle fans about Buddy Ryan and his influence on this organization, for the good or for the bad. The bottom line was, before Buddy Ryan came here, we were a joke, an absolute joke of a football franchise. And for those of you who do not have memories of the Eagles prior to Andy Reid, I don't really want to hear your opinion on the matter because you didn't live through it. I did. I endured the bad Dick Vermeil and then the terrible Marion Campbell. I endured that. I endured the ridicule, the embarrassment it was to be an Eagles fan at that time. And when Buddy Ryan came, Buddy said enough's enough, and we're gonna return. Now, listen, ultimately he never fulfilled anything, and because this is kind of what our point for tonight is, but he brought back a swagger about this team. He brought back an attitude. He brought back losing is no longer a philosophy, or losing is no longer a culture here, right? We're going to actually think we're winners, and we're going to play like that, and we're going to play like bullies, and we're going to play like, like with our hair on fire, and we'll let the chips fall where they may, which they didn't fall well for Buddy, but we're going to return to relevancy. And they did in a big way. But on this night back in 1991, the Eagles would lose to the Washington Redskins in the wild card round by a final of 20-6. That would prompt, obviously, that was Buddy's third straight trip to the playoffs, resulting in 3 straight losses, right? The Fog Bowl against the Bears, the Rams the year after that, and then the Redskins the following year. And that was enough. And I get it. And I 100% was on board with the termination of Buddy Ryan. But I will never forget, and nor will I never be able to thank him, may he rest in peace, for returning what it really meant to be a football town. He brought that football back to the town. And we've been obviously sort of on a degraded kind of, rise ever since. There's Kotite, a little wonky. And then Ray Rhodes started to, Ray Rhodes was okay in the beginning, but he was just a bunch of talk at the end. And then, of course, when Andy came here, it all changed. But don't ever forget what Buddy Ryan did. But on this night back in 1991, on the heels of his third straight playoff loss, Buddy Ryan was fired by the Philadelphia Eagles. And that was your part 1 of your Philadelphia sports history fact. And your part 2 is 2009, a baseball fact. After 11 years in Philadelphia, the Phillies, who actually made this player the top pick in 1998 MLB draft, Pat the Bat Burrell, signed a free agent contract with the team that he helped beat in the 2008 World Series, the Tampa Bay Rays. Burrell's 251 home runs in Phillies uniform are good for the 4th most in team history, but there were as many valleys in Burrell's Philly career as they were peaks. Burrell batted 221 in 2009, only hit 14 home runs for his new team, and then of course was cast off there, picked on with San Francisco, and won another World Series with them. Wasn't he part of the 2000? Was it 10 or 12 team? He won the World Series with the Giants, but yeah, Pat the Bat, man. We don't have really good history around here about picking first overall. And Pat Burrell was, I remember when we took him, and obviously they had big expectations for him. But yeah, I guess largely it did not really work out. He was very, very, very frustrating player to watch. And do we put that on him though? I mean, again, do we come at with these players with unrealistic expectations? No, say it ain't so. We don't do that. So I don't know. But Pat Burrell on this day back in 2009 jettisoned the Phillies along with Jason Worth that year. Remember that? Jason Worth left as well as a free agent, headed over to the that was in 2009, right? Or was that 10? When did Jason Worth leave? Was that 2009 when he signed with the Nationals? But there you go. A twofer on the Philadelphia night in Philadelphia sports history. The end of Buddy Ryan losing tonight to the Redskins, and then Pat Burrell leaving for Tampa in 2009. And that was brought to you by the great folks here at the network, sponsors and creators of the Philly Friday Frenzy with Big Al Fury, fresh off his birthday. Make sure when you see Al on Friday, you wish him a happy belated, as he'll be back he'll be back on Friday and every Friday at 9 p.m. giving you his his version of what he sees, which could not be any more different than mine. But Big Al every Friday on the Philly Friday Frenzy. So all right. So what are we doing? What do you want to talk about? I say we talk about rest or rust. I think that's what we should go on with. I really do. Joe says, hey, did I already do that one, MattyB? Yes, I can open up the phone lines, and I will here in a second. Let me get through some of these. Hold on. Robbie has screwed this up since the loss in the analytical pennant, downhill since then. I agree. No, I'm not sitting. He screwed this up since the World Series loss. I'm not even giving him the pennant in 23. I'm giving him game 6 and 22 for taking Wheeler out, man. Come on. We forget about that. How does the Phillies, weren't they up 2? They were up 2-1 in the World Series, right? Hit like 9 home runs in game 3, right? Then they go out and they get no hit. Come on, man. I mean, how do you do that stuff? How do you do that? But they still found a way in game 6. They were battling, and then Wheeler, the decision to take Wheeler out of game 6, that's where it fell apart for friggin' Rob Thompson, man. I wanted him gone after 22. I didn't want them to bring him back. I didn't think he deserved it. I was hoping and praying that they made a move after the World Series. And then I was like, what? They're bringing him back? And then certainly after what happened in 23. When you're up 3-2, you come home and all you got to do is win one game. One. In Philadelphia at home. One game. That's all you got to win. And you couldn't even pull that off. Of course, he didn't deserve to come back after that. But here we are. Then 24. They fall asleep against the Mets. Yeah, Rob's back. Rob's like a cockroach after a nuclear explosion. He's still there. Right? I mean, it's amazing. This guy's got more lives than a cat. And today on his press conference, it was funny. He was gloating over Don Mattingly. Of course, everybody could hear everybody, so Mattingly was listening. But they were talking about their days in the Yankee organization and their tenure with Joe Torre and all that. And I wanted somebody. And again, it's the Philadelphia media. I know that in my younger days, somebody would have asked this question and they would have been very serious about it, about the potential of, Rob, how do you feel that your replacement's already been brought here? And don't you think it's kind of funny that all of a sudden, we need an MLB on-field coordinator, and yet, you got a 1-year contract. They keep giving you 1-year extensions, and now we're bringing in Don Mattingly, who's got managerial experience, coming off of a World Series run with the Blue Jays, and he's the new bench coach. You don't find that a little suspicious? A little coincidence, a little bit of a coinky-dink? Are you not picking up what they're putting down? But no one asked that question, of course, because no one's got the balls to do that anymore. I would have asked that question if they would have let me in there. But I would have done it. I would have phrased it more professionally. I would have been more, politically correct. I wouldn't have said it like that. But no one asked that question. But there was a lot of gloating back and forth between Mattingly and Thompson. And then Preston Mattingly was brought up. And now if you think about it, actually, Preston, who's the GM, is essentially Don Mattingly's boss. That's got to be a weird dynamic. You're your dad's boss. I mean, what's Thanksgiving going to be like at that table this year? Oh, Lord, man. But that was, they brought up that dynamic and how Preston and him talked about it and obviously figured out how that would work out. But I'm happy, honestly. I'm glad Don Mattingly is here. I think it's a great move. I think off the field they've got it right. Obviously, on the field is a disaster, but off the field is the offseason's shaping up, man. It's shaping up. But unfortunately, Don Mattingly can't play anymore. Right now, this is 1994, 93, 95. Yeah, we'd be doing something here. A player bench coach. That's what we would have Don Mattingly doing. But I would love Don Mattingly to be batting 5th in my lineup right now. Prime Mattingly in the mid-'80s, 87, 88 Mattingly, before the knee problems took hold, bat him 5th. He would be the protection. He would be the protection behind Schwarber. God damn, that would be a nice lineup. Fire Sirianni and Patullo and try to trade Hurts and Brown and start over. Wow. So are you saying that essentially win, lose, or draw? I mean, if they win the Super Bowl, you can't pull any of that off. But if they lose, again, I don't wish them. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I do. I'm really on the fence about Sunday. I can see a pathway to victory. San Fran is beat the hell up, man. They're running on empty right now. But McCaffrey is still in one piece, and he's upright. It's funny how the team is breaking down around them, but McCaffrey's there. Typically, it's always the other way around. The team is healthy, but McCaffrey's out. But so that scares me a little bit because this is sort of uncharted territory. A healthy Christian McCaffrey in the playoffs for the 49ers. Is it enough against the Eagles? I don't know if it is. And I'm really on the fence because what I've seen the Eagles do positively on the defensive side of the football all season long makes me feel that they, especially coming off a bye week, essentially, right? They probably are going to have like a lot of fresh legs, and they're probably going to really send the house against Purdy, and they're really going to try to get in his head, and it might work. And obviously, what they're going to try to do is create offense from defense, and it might work against the 49ers. Now, will will be a good philosophy and a good strategy as we go deeper and deeper into the playoffs remains to be seen, but I think it could work for them on Sunday. So I'm really on the fence about that game. But starting over, I agree with you, though. Fire Sirianni, trade Hurts and Brown, like I proposed. So I put the trade up there. We went over this last week. I propose the Eagles send A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts to the Las Vegas Raiders in exchange for Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, and the Raiders' first-round pick in 2026, which I believe is the first overall. Would you do that trade if you're the Eagles? I know the Raiders would. Now, the Raiders might try to talk me out of that first-round pick, but that first-round pick is essential because I need a quarterback. And I'm probably going to go after Mendoza. So I need that first-round pick in order to get a quarterback. Now, I would start Tanner McKee next year, and I'd have Mendoza behind him, at least to start the season, with my new head coach, my new offensive coordinator, my new whole staff. Right? But, I'd do that trade. I think the Raiders would. I think the only problem with that trade for the Raiders is probably that first-round draft pick. That's probably a sticking point. They probably would want to get me down off that. But that's essential. I need that first-round pick, especially this year with the one being on. Now, Mendoza, and then what's the kid out of Oregon's name? The other quarterback. They're nothing special, right? But I don't need Mendoza to start next year. I'm going to start McKee. I'm going to start Tanner McKee. But I'm going to need him eventually. So, but anyway, I would do that trade. Steelers of Baltimore. Oh, no, listen. Frauds, legit, whatever the case may be. That was a hell of a football game last night. Hell of a game. Back and friggin' forth. And then it was ended on the most demoralizing, gut-punching way, a missed field goal. Man, that's the way to go out, man. I know there's not much history in the Eagles world about big games being decided on the foot of a kicker, especially negatively. So I don't really know what that feels like. I mean, we've had some games end because of bad kicking, but like regular season, nothing like major that I can remember. That's got to suck, man. All came down. It was like a 25-yarder. It was a chip shot, man. He missed that thing. That was all nerves, man. He got in his own head. He was feeling the pressure, man. Those Steelers fans got in that kicker's head. He was a rookie. Yeah, they got to him, man. But it's good for him. In the long run, it's going to be good for that kid. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And he's going to be stronger for that. So, but that was a great game, man. All right, let me get the phone lines going here. We're about what? Damn, 35 minutes into the show. How in the hell did we get so... all right, so let me open up the phone lines, and you guys can jump on, and we can talk personally. Or you can talk to me this way, however you want. But phone lines are now open. The link should be drop it into your streams as we speak. You guys can click on that. Come on backstage. I'll get you on. You don't have to have your camera on, but I do need to be able to hear you, and you need to be able to hear me and talk to me, and I need to be able to talk to you. So winning the regular season MVP is bigger than winning the Super Bowl, as Lamar or Josh have no Super Bowls, 3 MVPs between them. I didn't say that, did I? I didn't say that. Is it bigger than winning the Super Bowl MVP? Yeah, absolutely. Are you telling me you don't think winning the regular season MVP is bigger than winning a Super Bowl MVP? Who cares about Super Bowl MVP? Did I say Super Bowls? No. But I'm telling you, I don't know if you saw the game last night, Papernick. But what I saw going back and forth between Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson, I seriously doubt Jalen Hurts could do any of that. Honestly. I'm not questioning their ability to win a Super Bowl. And again, it goes back to that nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense to say that Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl. He didn't. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts was part of that. Just like Lamar Jackson hasn't won a Super Bowl, but has he? The Baltimore Ravens haven't won a Super Bowl. Not Lamar Jackson. They're not the Baltimore Lamar Jacksons, right? And they're not the Philadelphia Hurtses either. So this comparison to great elite quarterbacks and Super Bowls, I believe Dan Marino would probably have a lot to say about that too. Yes, of course. Is it, Tom Brady walking around with rings on all of his fingers? I get you there, right? But there's elite quarterbacks, there's Tom Brady, and then there's everybody else. So Yeah, that no longer works for me. That whole cachet of Jalen Hurts winning Super Bowl, a Super Bowl. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. I don't hear anybody else talking about him being an MVP. Does it help a quarterback sort of like standing in the world? Yeah. It also helps a player standing in the world. But it is not the end-all, be-all to judging your ability as a quarterback. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, for God's sakes. Doug Williams, who actually had a really good game. Right? Who was the quarterback in was it Gannon with the Raiders when they beat the Buccaneers? Was he an MVP? No, he was part of a good team. So I'm not buying that Jalen Hurts nonsense anymore because he won a Super Bowl. I ain't doing that anymore, man. Oh, get off Kaepernick. What's up, man?
Now, see, I'm all pumped up. I get the thing about Jalen Hurts isn't a top elite quarterback,
right?
But I'm going to go back to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Steve Spagnuolo came out and did the one thing that nobody did all season. He stopped the running game. Yep. Now the defense scored one touchdown. Now they had a bunch of sacks and they
six.
But Jalen,
six.
Okay,
six.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so I'm going to do this. If Jalen goes out there and shits the bucket and don't do anything because they have no running game, he'll get crapped on. But he goes out there and gets a running TD, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and people are killing him.
He did what he was supposed to do. Hang on, Patrick. He did, in my opinion, he did what he was supposed to do with the short field. He did what he was supposed to do.
It wasn't always the short field.
Up on his shoulders. He did not pick the team up on his shoulders and lead them to victory. He was part of that. But the defense, who gets constantly shit on for what happened in that Super Bowl, you take the defense out of that Super Bowl, they don't win. I'm telling you, they don't. Well, we don't know. They win 48 or whatever.
Okay. What I'm saying is, but everybody's confidence in Jalen. Mm-hmm. He went out. He went out and he showed up in the 2 biggest games. He lost the 1 Super Bowl. He outplayed Pat Mahomes. He shows up in this Super Bowl. Now I'm not. He is not a top 10 quarterback. I'm not just going to stay with that.
I know.
Okay. I know. What I'm saying is, like, I don't know where this guy has. In the playoffs, he shows up. Lamar has all that talent, and his team don't show up. He had Diggs, he had other guys with him, and they still don't show up. Only Joe Burrows and the Cincinnati Bengals, outside of Tom Brady and the rookie year beat Pat Mahomes, is the only team in quarterback to beat the Chiefs in a meaningful playoff game and get to the Super Bowl. Not Lamar and the Bills, not Josh and the Bills, Lamar, any of them teams. Joe Burrows, the only team in the last 5 years to do that.
So again, was it Joe Burrow or was it the Cincinnati Bengals?
No, it was a team thing. That's what I'm getting at.
Right.
It's a team thing. But the thing, what I'm saying is, these guys like Josh and them and their team, there's no big. They don't have that big moment in them. They don't show up in the big moments. Now, Josh did that one game. Josh did when they went down and they had like 15 seconds left in the game, and the Chiefs came back and won or something, whatever it was. It was a playoff game. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like Josh. I like Lamar. I like Joe Burrows. Your trade I told you. I tell you what I would do. I trade Jalen Hurts. I call Cincinnati up and just see what if they would look to trade Joe Burrows, because they're not going to win nothing out there because they can't put nothing. They can't put a defense together. They got $500 million and 2 wide receivers. Sure, they're going to score 40 points, but they're going to give up 45 every game. And I would go after Joe Burrows.
Well, hey,
if I was going to make a move.
Patrick, listen to this. How would Max Crosby look running around with this defense?
He would look, but he put that over. Okay, who's the quarterback?
Well, I told you. So what's essential in that trade for me is the first overall pick.
Okay, but you're going to go Tanner McKee,
and Tanner McKee will start. Yes.
Okay, so you're hoping that the defense can play at a high level next year, And
just like
put
they're doing
17,
right now.
just like they're doing
right
for at least the next 2 years. The next 2 years they got to do that because
half the season.
Next year and the year after that they got to do it because if Mendoza's starting the year afterwards, he's like a rookie quarterback starting.
Yeah. Listen, I'm sure Mendoza will find his way into my starting lineup by midway of 2027 or 6. Again, I'm just looking at money management, right? AJ Brown is pretty much good. He's gone, right? You would agree that.
What about this? What about Jordan Davis and saying AJ Brown for Max Crosby and that guy, and then you try to take Hurts, maybe Nolan Smith. You package them over to the Bengals with a bunch of picks and go get Burrows.
I'd be okay with that too.
Because you still got Jalen Hunt, you still got Carter, and now you got Crosby. All you're losing out on is Nolan Smith and Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is going to walk anyway. They're going to get a compensatory pick. So package them. Nolan Smith, I like Nolan Smith. I think Jalen Hunt has a bigger upside to him. I think the problem with Nolan, and I love him. He's too small to play the edge. He's not a linebacker. That's the problem.
Yeah, that does. He does seem to get lost he does get lost out there at times, but he does come up in those moments, and he gets that sack when you need it. He shows up at the really great moments of a game.
I think he's expendable. I think because you already got Max under contract. You're going to pay Jalen, and you'll have to pay Jalen Sons. But now you got rid of Davis and you got rid of Nolan Smith. 2 contracts you don't have to pay. I'm just saying if we can package that, maybe.
I'm getting anything they might want to do. Real quick, Kaepernick, Don Mattingly, it's the reality. He's the bench coach. What do you think?
I like Don. I do like Don. We're going down the Yankee rabbit hole. Joe Girardi won nothing. Rob Thompson won nothing. Now we're going into a third Yankee guy and hoping he wins something.
Then Joe Torre's next. I don't know who's next.
I'm just trying to figure this one out, man. Like it's like the pipeline, man. Like it's just like. And the best, and I think the best manager was Joe Girardi. I'm not that, I love Matty. I like Girardi. I do. I think these players just can't handle somebody like that. Now, if they can't handle somebody like that, how are they going to handle Matty?
That's a great point. That's a 100% great point, and that's what caused Joe Girardi to get fired. The players just weren't listening to him. They weren't. He was like dad in there, and they were acting like a bunch of kids, and it just didn't work.
Well, you know what's funny about that? Harper played with Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
I'm sure Dusty didn't pat them guys on their ass.
No,
I'm sure he didn't do nothing. But if you go back to the Stefanski thing, the Eagles, if you're going to keep Sirianni, you cannot go get an offensive coordinator that is going to be, if they're one good season, looked at as a head coach to move on. They need their Vic Fangio on offense. That's why I always say Frank Reich. I think Frank fits that mold. I don't think he'll take another NFL head coaching job. I think, and then Sirianni can just be the cheerleader. But, that's not going to happen. And somehow we'll wind up with Stefanski here. And
listen, I don't know if they're going to end up with Stefanski, but I know that's going to be the number one topic on all the sports radio. Sure. Everyone's going to be talking about him because it's a hot name. He's a known name. I'm not saying he's the right idea, but if this thing doesn't end in a Super Bowl win and they end up having to make a change, the question will be, someone's getting sacrificed. Someone's going to have to get sacrificed if they don't win a Super Bowl. It's got to be the head. It should be Sirianni. Yeah.
Look, I get Kevin Patullo is having these issues with Jalen, but I'm sure he had to know that before he said, "Yeah, I'll take the job." I'll bump up the OC. I'm sure he had to know this.
Well, yeah, he's been in the organization since Sirianni came here. It's not like he just showed up last year.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So, he knows Jalen's limitations. So why is he? Try. You know what I'm saying? why don't he try do something with them? Where's the RPO? When your quarterback comes out and says he don't want to run an RPO or run no more. No, somebody's got this. That's Robbie 2.0. You're just telling him what to do now.
Yeah.
They're running the team.
That's the biggest question I have is why is he so limited? There must be no trust at all between head coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterback. Somewhere along the line, someone ain't trusting somebody to do what they're supposed to do.
Here's remember when they hired Patullo?
Mm-hmm.
AJ Brown came out and said he loved it.
Yeah.
You didn't hear Hurts come out and say that.
No, not a word.
Nothing. Didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
So how do we know that relationship isn't, maybe, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe there's not really a good relationship there. We won't find out till probably 5 years from now. That's how things work in Philly, but we'll find out somewhere when they retire that they hated each other. No, but that's just now my disdain for the 49ers is worse than the Cowboys and the Bills. So I think the Eagles can win this game, which I really don't want them to, because I think it's just the second. You're just going to get the 20th pick in the draft, and you're just going. What's that going to do for you? Yeah, and can the defense? Yeah, but this defense is going to have to play high level every week. It can't take a break. It can't take a breather. It can't do nothing. And
it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, to get real fast, go back to the Phillies real fast. Yeah. But Bichette, okay. I just don't think the Phillies should sign Bichette because they're stuck. You got Castellanos here. You can't get rid of him unless you trade him with something for whatever. You got Stott at second base. You got Baum at third. The only way that would work out with Bichette, this is the only way. Baum would have to become your first baseman. Bichette becomes your third baseman. Harper goes to left or right field, wherever they want to stick him. Now, do we want to see Bryce running around the outfield?
No. I wanted Bryce as my DH and Alonso playing first. Why couldn't they do that?
Oh, I did. Go ask the guy upstairs. Get a press pass. You do get a press pass. Go in there and just ask him. Like Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, come on, 270.
Really? I mean, $50 million or whatever it was, $500 million, $500,000. You couldn't close the deal, man. Come on.
It's like the JT thing. I'm over that guy already. I mean, I like JT. I'm over that. Now he's got to think about because he's got other teams involved. You know what? Yeah. Just go sign Harrison Bader, put him in left field or whatever, center field. Now your outfield is a little better with him and Crawford
Marchand and Stubbs.
And you might as well roll with Marchand. You can probably get somebody off the street to play party boy, over Stubbs. But no, and then try to go get Suarez. I'm telling you, this pitching's going to bite them in the ass this year. This starting pitching is going to do it. And Suarez is sitting out there, and you talk about sweating somebody out. Just go to him. See if maybe he'll take a 1-year deal for like $25 million. And I hope he has a good year for next year and rolling the free agency next year. That solidifies with Nola being your 3. Suarez bumps to your 4 unless you want 3 lefties and Nola your 4. It don't make no difference. That solidifies right there at least 4 spots. You only got to worry about Painter, and that's it. You got to worry about Taijuan Walker being out there. Even if Nola shits the bucket, you got 3 other quarterbacks, 3 other pitchers that are decent. But they're going to screw this up. They're third
Wheeler's
place.
Wheeler's in play. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, he ain't back to June, end of May, beginning of June.
May 28th. Dombrowski said it in November. He'll be back on the mound on May 28th. He said that. He said the date. I'm like, okay, May 28th. Zach Wheeler's starting for the Phillies. All right.
I'm putting this out there. Everybody knows I'm Nostradamus, and I know the Powerball numbers too. So anybody wants to call me up, and I'll give them all the Powerball numbers.
He said May 28th. That's what he said in November, or back in whenever that press conference was in October. He's like, he'll be back May 28th. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad used to tell me a lot of things too, and I didn't believe him, because I knew they were false.
Well, we keep coming back from the Phillies every year, Papernick. All right, man, I'm gonna let you go.
Good night.
Yep.
Right.
Michael Papernick, man. Michael Papernick coming at me on the top ropes with some really interesting, valid points. I mean, I think there's one thing that we can both agree, even though I come out completely on the Jalen Hurts. So again, the origins of my ire. It's not even ire. And again, it's not hate. I don't hate Jalen Hurts. I do think he's a good quarterback. I do. I guess where it really kind of sets me off is this love, and not from Kaepernick, but from the other side, right? That far to left radical Homer side that puts him above like God. I mean, good God, man. I just don't see it. And I have a tendency, and I know you guys know this. I like to sort of, poke the bear, right? So I put out these. I run the It's a Wrap Sports social media. That's me. Like 99% of that stuff is me. Al throws in some stuff every now and again, but it's mainly me. And I put out that trade proposal for AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts going to the Raiders, and I put out one today about elite quarterbacks, like the definition of elite quarterback, and not nowhere in a definition that you can, talk about elite quarterback. Nowhere in their criteria or their checklist to make them elite has that they never completed a pass in a half football. And not only Jalen Hurts did that once, he did it twice this year. So maybe that's what gets me sort of like pushes my buttons on this Jalen Hurts thing, is that how people can look at me or you with a straight face and say this kid's elite when he couldn't complete a pass in a half football. Are you kidding me? I don't remember that wing in Canton. I don't know where the wing of not being able to complete a pass in the Football Hall of Fame is. So, and I don't care if it happened only once, which it didn't. It happened twice. Tom Brady never not completed a pass in a half football. All right. You go down the history list of all the great quarterbacks and beyond the elites into the great quarterbacks, down to the good ones, down to the mid ones, down to the awful ones. Ryan Leaf never did that, for God's sakes. All right. So for you to try to sell me on the elite topic of Jalen Hurts is probably one of the most asinine things that I've ever heard come out of somebody's mouth. So that's what sets me off about the Jalen Hurts. Not that he's not a capable quarterback that I would, if I had to, definitely go into battle with. Would be my first choice. He wouldn't be my second, third, fourth, or fifth. But if I had to, yes, I would go with Jalen Hurts. There's a lot worse options, but there's better. And that's fine. But this whole irrational, obsessed, cult-like devotion to the man just pushes my buttons. And I take every opportunity I can to chop it down. And I don't care, because it's so Stepford Widey, that Jalen Hurts he is not an elite quarterback. No, he's not. But he's a very good one. So I'm okay with that. Oh, and by the way, tonight we're also going to talk Eagles schedule. The 2026 schedule's out. At least the opponents. We know where they're going to play. We know the home and the road. We don't know when. Obviously, we don't know the date or time, but we do have the opponents. So we'll go over that here in a minute. But first, let's talk to our good friend, Joe Hale. Joe, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, Joe. What is on Joe Hale's mind tonight?
Don Mattingly finally signed. And I like what he said about Zach Wheeler. He's at 75 miles per hour already. And
he'll be in the facility tomorrow. For those of you wanting to take a glimpse of Zach Wheeler, he's going to be in South Philadelphia tomorrow.
No, I think is he? I heard he's at his, I don't know where he is.
Rob Thompson said today in the presser that Wheeler will actually be in the facility tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think JT's gone.
Yeah.
And then Bichette signs with Philly because of Mattingly being here. I'm okay with that. But you go trade Alec Baum to, what'd you say, Seattle has a...
his name is Luke Stevenson. He's from North Carolina, was drafted in this year's draft, was the highest rated catcher in this year's draft. I don't think he was the first catcher selected, but he was like the second one selected. And he's down there in low A, rookie leagues. So you have some time with him, but he is something to look forward to sort of cultivate, restock that catcher shelf.
I could see the Phillies doing that and trading Stott with him. Maybe go pick up a pitcher from Seattle.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I think we're at a point now with Dombrowski that he has to do something. He's got to save face and do something.
Was he at the press conference?
No, it was just Thompson, Mattingly, and the some of the Philly PR people, and then the media.
Okay.
You go ahead and watch it. It's on YouTube. Just search Don Mattingly's press conference or whatever.
I heard bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good interview.
Flyers, Dvorak. Did they ever pay for him 5-year deal?
Would I do that? Would I sign him to a 5-year contract? You're asking me that?
Because that's what they gave him.
They did. That's official. They've re-signed him to a 5-year contract.
Yes.
Oh God, terrible move. Terrible move for a fourth line centerman. Oh man.
Yes.
Come on, Danny. What are you doing, man? What are the details, Joe? Do you have the details of the contract?
No. I just read about it right when I'm backstage.
Now, listen, I'm okay with re-signing him for like a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal.
But you can buy him out an option with a 4-year buyout, apparently.
Oh, that's 4 years, man.
It's funny how you trade Sabula to Pittsburgh, and he didn't show up, and he got released.
I saw that today. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd like to get to the bottom of that. I'd like to find out why, because apparently that's where he wanted to go, was Pittsburgh. Maybe he felt like he was going to Pittsburgh and not Scranton. You know, maybe that was the problem. I don't know.
Yes. So Savansky, he's not going to be here. I can tell you why.
Why?
He's going to be the Giants head coach, apparently.
That's a possibility. Possibility.
Hey, our old buddy John Ganning that just got fired.
JG, one of the 4 that got axed today. Absolutely. What do you think about that? Do you think JG returns to the NFL as a defensive coordinator next year?
Yes.
Really?
But not with the Eagles.
No. But who do you think he ends up with?
I'm going to give you a name. He could go back the Jets. Aaron Glenn's coaching staff.
I'm surprised Aaron Glenn survived today. I am.
So
very surprised about that.
I think the Raiders are holding on to Max Crosby to build around. I think they trade the first round pick.
Now they need a quarterback. They desperately need a quarterback. They got to take one. They have no choice. Joe, they have no choice. I'm not saying it's the right move, but they got no choice.
Brady knows what he's doing.
I don't know. I did sure as hell didn't look like it this year.
It wasn't Brady that hired Pete Carroll.
Listen, Pete Carroll be damned. I mean, I was never a Pete Carroll guy. I thought he got lucky in Seattle, but that team is a joke. The talent is a joke.
Yeah, this time.
What's that?
He's too old.
Yeah, I mean, he is, but the talent around him. I mean, I don't understand what goes around. How can an organization like the Raiders, who were good for so long, be bad for so long? I mean, how does that happen?
And I'm going to give you some news. Mike Mayock is back with the Raiders now.
In what capacity?
Helping find a head coach.
So, like part of the transition team?
Yes, he's working with Brady. And Gronk's helping too.
You got to keep Mayock away from that GM's office, man. Make sure you change the locks.
Just finding a coach.
Man, that was a bad decision too, boy. Oh man, Mike Mayock destroyed that franchise. Man,
yeah, he's on the board.
Okay, he's part of the advisor group, huh?
Yes, just like how Troy Aikman's
right.
What on Miami?
Right. And by the way, what's his face? Old boy in Miami, McDaniels, he survived. How does that happen?
You know what? I'm surprised Atlanta fired their head coach, Morris.
Yeah.
And their GM.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, it was the Falcons head coach and GM got fired. Yeah.
I'm surprised Cincinnati coach kept his job.
You know, I was thinking about that this morning when I saw the news, and my thoughts on this is this. You know, he's got the pieces; they just can't stay healthy. And he's got to do better in the trenches. I think he bought himself one more year. They got to show something next year. If they go back into the crapper, they don't have a good offseason. They don't plus up that line. Joe Burrow needs to be protected with all costs. They gotta revamp that offensive line in one offseason.
Pick is going to be an offensive lineman.
Yeah, they should take an offensive lineman every pick. Honestly,
if Petula gets fired, I'm okay with Brian Daboll coming.
No. Jackson Dart escaped Dable with an inch of his life. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. But it's all about turning Jalen Hurts loose. That's again what I'm looking at. Whoever comes in here, and again, we're putting the cart before the horse. There's no, I don't even know if they'll fire Padula. It might turn into one of those situations with Doug Peterson where they're going to tell Sirianni to fire him. He's going to say no, and then they're going to fire Sirianni. I don't know if it turns into something like that, but I don't.
This year fired. John Gruden can't come back in the league because of all the stuff that happened.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Who does the Eagles head coach become?
If they fire Sirianni?
Yes.
Bring down Fangio, make him the head coach.
Fangio doesn't want to do head coach.
And we can look outside. I mean,
another name that's going to be traded. I just heard John Harbaugh might be getting traded.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
To Cleveland.
He's going to fail to report and get suspended.
Oh, no, he's going to work. They're going to make Sanders look amazing.
Yeah, they might do that, but that's another dumpster fire of an organization. But all right, Joe, listen, man, real quick. I'm going to go over the Eagles schedule here in a minute, but rest or rust. We really didn't get a chance to get into that too much tonight, but we talked about this a little bit last night.
Yeah.
Some of the prevailing wins today, or the Eagles missed an opportunity. How do you feel about that? Do you think that they made the right decision?
Yes.
Yeah, so do I.
And
ultimately, yeah.
Some late breaking news: Fred Warner from San Francisco's out now.
Yeah, I saw that. They're leaking oil, man. They're like the Lions of last year. So I think the Eagles got a chance on Sunday, but we'll see. All right, Joe, we'll talk tomorrow, right, man?
Yep.
Yeah. Rest or rust, right? I still say it was the right thing to do. I know that based on what happened with Chicago last night and them losing to Detroit, everyone's up in arms because the Eagles had a chance for the number 2 seed. I get that, right? But at this stage of the game, you got your one home playoff game. Take the massive opportunity with that and just let it go. You're the defending champs, right? You should be able to beat anybody anytime. And if you can't, maybe it's just not your year. But I do understand the connotations of giving the offense some time off that maybe they didn't deserve. You had an opportunity, and one more at least. And at the very least bit, you could have gotten out of that game with your offense feeling very confident about themselves. But now we're going to take an ice-cold, inconsistent offense into that San Fran game. And that scares the living hell out of me. It really does. So I do come out on the side of the coin that says rest was the best thing to do. And don't forget, come the final score or 0-0-0-0 on the board on Sunday, the Birds Flyby will precede the game immediately here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And here is our Eagles 49er Wild Card Edition. As I said, we potentially could have dual hosts or 3 hosts. We're thinking about going to a multiple host format for the duration of the playoffs. So stand by for that. And as promised, though, one of the last pieces of the puzzle of 2026 fell into place last night when the Steelers, escaped that game with their lives against the Ravens. We now know who all the opponents that the Eagles will face in 2026. Is this too early to look at? Absolutely. Does this have any bearing to what's happening right now? None. But we're going to do it anyway because why not? But here we go. So here it is. Here is your home and away Eagle opponent schedule. Of course, we don't know the dates. We don't know what time these games will be. We don't know the national broadcast or the 4:00 games or any of that. Europe game, Australia, whatever the hell the Eagles are going to end up playing next year. But this is how the season will break down in 2026. Houston, Indy, Carolina, Pittsburgh, LA, and Seattle will all come to Philadelphia next year, along with the Giants, Redskins, and Cowboys. On the road, we'll go to Jacksonville, Tennessee, Arizona, San Fran, and Chicago. So, and of course, that Chicago game will be in like December. You know it's going to be. But first looks at it, of course, the 9 home games that the NFC will have next year, which is always good to have the extra home game. Hopefully, the Eagles will have more. They'll actually have a back-to-back home thing in the regular season this year or next year. It's an interesting schedule. Carolina, obviously, the Battle of Pennsylvania is back on next year. Hosting both the Rams and Seahawks will be interesting. Houston shapes up to be a pretty good battle. We get to welcome in Steichen with the Colts. So I mean, it's like a gauntlet. I don't really see a gauntlet here unless they package the Rams, Seattle, and 49ers together. So that would potentially be like, if they kind of bubble those games together, which they might. That's probably the toughest part of the schedule, is how they're going to attack the Rams, Seattle, and San Fran. But other than that, I mean, Arizona, hell, I could start and win that game. Chicago, we don't know what they're going to look like next year. Pittsburgh has never, ever in the history of their franchise ever literally won in Philadelphia. So that should not change. Houston could be, an interesting game. Anything out of conference is always interesting. It can go either way. So here it is, a snapshot look at your 2026 Philadelphia Eagles schedule. And by the way, it's up on our social media if you want to take a look more in depth. And of course, the regular schedule, the actual schedule will come out in May when we'll have dates and times with all this. So look forward to that. So, Star Wars, I didn't see you pop up there. Who do you need? What do I expect of Don? I expect Don Mattingly to be the next manager of the Phillies. I ain't lying to you. Am I the only one who sees this? Am I the only one who's reading this in between the lines? Am I the only one that thinks he's here for one reason? And that's to be the safety net for when Rob Thompson does fail. When Rob Thompson, who maybe not for his own blame, comes out with a sub-product, a product that was not, they didn't do anything in the offseason with. They come out and they struggled out the gate, and they're that 7-8 game under 500 around early June, and they just need that kick in the ass. That's what I expected Don Mattingly to be. I expect him to be the Phillies manager by June 1st, 2026. If the team struggles. If not, I expect Don Mattingly to be along for the ride like everybody else. Yeah, but that's why I think they brought him here. The Phillies have hired Don Mattingly to be their bench coach. Yep, couldn't love this more. I love it. Help me welcome this legend to Philly. Okay, what are we going to do, Star Wars? No, it's great. It's a great hire, man. And obviously, Donnie Baseball. Absolutely, it's a great hire. It's a name. It's a guy that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That's not, but he deserves to be there. Yeah, it's a great hire. Dave Dombrowski hit a home run with the off-the-field free agent signing. He really did. But I'm more concerned about what's happening on the field, which he's not done anything. But no, it's a great move. Can Don be a manager he can't be with? No, absolutely, and that's why I think he's here. No one wants to ask that question, but that's why I think he's here. Eagles get the 68th pick from the Jets. Okay. Is that a compensational pick? All right, let's get on to our of the night segment. We're running late. That's a good thing, but let's do of the night. Again, we're going to do Flyers prospects tonight. We're wrapping that up, actually. I only got about a handful of them guys left before we transition to NHL draft picks, which I need to really start incorporating them into the segment, and then we'll get into Philly spotlight players. We're going to start spotlighting the Phillies here in about 2 weeks. I don't know who we're spotlighting. I don't know what catcher I want to do, but and Castellanos, I guess, gets his own slide this year. I really wish something would break with the Phillies, man. I'm really getting frustrated. Every day that goes by and nothing happens. Maybe this was like the appetizer, right? Don Mattingly. Maybe this was the appetizer. Tomorrow we get the little sorbet you eat before the main course, the little ice cream to cleanse your palate. Something happens, and then the big entree, Bo Bichette, on what, Thursday. Maybe that's how they're doing this. Maybe that's what they're lining us up for this week. But let's get to the other night segment. Yep. We are other night, and we are talking Flyers prospects. We're ripping through them, and we're back to a guy, not necessarily a prospect. He's a prospect. Let's just bring him up here. Tonight's prospect of the night is Oscar Eklund. He is the undrafted free agent the Flyers signed out of the Swedish Hockey League. He is 6'4", 220 pounds, a centerman. Eklund's game is centered around his puck possession skills. He may not always get full marks for how intelligent he is on the ice. So that's obviously a little bit of a ding on him. A force to be reckoned with down there in Lehigh Valley. He was acquired late last season, I think it was, or midway through last season as an undrafted free agent. The Flyers signed him and brought him over. He is currently in Lehigh and playing for the Phantoms. 16 games, 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points and a healthy +10. So he's on the ice when a lot of good things are happening for the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. So that's a really good thing. And does his ceiling, I know Danny B was high on this guy, and they brought him back too. They signed him last year for the season essentially, and then they re-signed him again in the summer. So they brought him back. So obviously they see something there. And at 6'4", 220, I love that. But, mentioning in his player profile doesn't always get full marks for how intelligent he is on the ice. That's a little bit of a red flag for me. But plenty of time with a guy like that as he works his way sort of into this game. You're signing Christian Dvorak, allegedly. I got to look that up, but that's unconfirmed. I don't know that for sure. Joe Hale reported it. But if you're signing Christian Dvorak to a 5-year contract as a fourth-line centerman, that dooms players like Oscar Eklund from ever even smelling the Flyers because, he has got fourth-line centerman tattooed all over him. Oscar Eklund does. So I'm not really sure that, his pathway to the Flyers has not now been permanently blocked, but we'll see. But there you have it. Tonight's prospect of the night is Oscar Eklund. An undrafted free agent by the Flyers last year. Terry Smith will continue to coach Penn State's cornerbacks under Matt Campbell. Yep, and he said that, I think, coming off the field for the Pinstripe Bowl that he was staying with Matt Campbell's staff. And, of course, Matt Campbell being real active with his former team, the Cyclones, right? Iowa State Cyclones? They're not the Barnstormers. That's the arena team, right? Who are the Barnstormers? That's the arena team, and the Cyclones are the college team, right? Right, yeah. 18 of them up to date have entered the transfer portal and are coming to Penn State following their head coach. So maybe Penn State's, to include the quarterback. So maybe Penn State returns next year. Maybe we're back. Maybe we end up in the top 20 to start the season. No Ohio State on the schedule next year. That's sacrilege. How do you go through a season and not play Ohio State? How can you justify that? But no Ohio State next year. Maybe it's a quicker route for them to the championship. I don't know, but renewed expectations in Penn State and Matt Campbell and his 18 former Iowa State Cyclones following him over in the transfer portal, and Terry Smith sticking around to coach the secondary. So good stuff there. Let's head over to our final segment of the night, and it's my favorite segment ever. All right. Yep. Here we go. MattyB's card review. I haven't done this in a few nights, actually. I think we did it. What was it? Last Wednesday? I don't think we did it Thursday, and I know we didn't do it last night. So we're going to get back to it tonight, and we're going to talk about an insert card. You know what those are. We've discussed this multiple times. Insert cards are cards that are added into a set to make it kind of pretty. Topps has been doing the power play insert card since about 1997. So since 1997, they've had a power play insert card come in. We've talked about a few of them from this year that are actually really colorful. And we're going to talk about a power play card from 1999, one of the first that Topps did, one of the first couple sets. And, of course, an all-timer player that's going to be featured on this power play card, and a instant Hall of Famer. And, by the way, if you have an opportunity, and I'm not a Yankees fan, and it's funny that we're talking Yankees tonight with Don Mattingly and Rob Thompson, Joe Girardi, in that little chain of events that's happening now with the Phillies. But I am not a Yankees fan in any fiber of my body. I cannot stand the Yankees, right? Almost as much as I hate the Cowboys. But you got to acknowledge greatness when you see it, regardless if it's from a Yankee, a Cowboy, or anybody. Greatness is greatness. And tonight's card is an all-time great. Like it or not, he is. And there's the 30 for 30, I think it is, or a ESPN documentary about the captain, the story of Derek Jeter. I started watching that the other night. Never got through it all. I got through the first episode, and it was captivating. And I'm definitely going to sit down at some point and finish it. But we're going to talk about the 1999 Derek Jeter power play card from Topps, the Chrome card from that set. And it's always funny looking at these types of Chrome cards from the sort of the beginning of Topps. No, this is Chrome. From the very beginning of Topps's Chrome legacy, of how they kind of started it. And this is their power play card, or power players, not power play, but power players card from 1999. And again, we've gone over some of these cards from 2025. Pretty cool looking card here. And of course, it's an all-time. Is he the greatest shortstop to ever play the game? Yeah. I know. Athletically, I think Ozzie Smith was, but he's definitely top three, right? You probably can make a case for that. But and he was a Yankee, and he was the captain and all that, and he's responsible for oodles and oodles of worlds. I mean, they three-peated during his time. They three-peated. You know how cool that is? That somebody could three-peat? I mean, goddamn, man. Can we ever get something like that? But it's a cool card from a 1999 card. Sort of had like futuristic kind of connotations with this card as things would become a little bit later on. It's an insert. It's not listed officially as a refractor because I don't think refractors were a thing in 99, but this is definitely the prelude to a refractor. And it's somewhat valuable, $35 right now. I saw it a couple times on a couple different sites, and I like it. This is part of a group of cards. I picked up 60 cards of Derek Jeter about 3 weeks ago for about $60. I think $1 a card, and this was one of the cards that I picked up. And again, this is worth $35, so I've already made back sort of my investment. And obviously, the other cards that I have of him will probably eventually sell. So definitely going to make back my money on that investment. But there you have it. It's a pretty cool looking card, and here it is in its physical form of Derek Jeter's 1999 Power Players Topps Chrome. Not a refractor because there wasn't refractors, but you can see sort of the beginnings of the refractor technology on this card as he's sort of popping out a little bit, but they didn't quite have the technology then to complete the refractor process. But you could definitely see the beginnings of a refractor on that card. And yeah, it's a cool card, and I like it. So there you go. The 1999 Derek Jeter Topps Power Player card. What a sophomore season for Jalen Stones. Yeah, he's had a good year. He's definitely played himself into that rotation. Unlike Jeremiah Trotter, has not. Definitely Jalen Stones, they hit there with that pick. All right, folks, that is going to pretty much do it for me tonight. Went over a lot, man. Rest or rust. I think we're still kind of on the same coin. But, of course, the conversation always goes back to Jalen friggin' Hurts, man. Another conversation about the non-eliteness of Jalen Hurts. But rest or rust was the topic. What side of that coin do you come out on, especially after knowing with hindsight that the Bears lost? I still stand with the rest factor. But there is an argument that, especially on the offense, like maybe rest the defense and play the offense for a half, Maybe Jalen Hurts can complete a pass. Don't you want to like sort of break that little streak too? Wouldn't you think you'd want him to go out there in the first quarter of the very next game and just complete a pass just so you can get that monkey off his back? So now we got him going into the playoff game and he hasn't completed a pass in like 2 games. But they decided the rest of the offense. Did they deserve a rest? I say they didn't deserve the rest. What message did that send to the offense? That the head coach, knowing the problems that the offense has had, whether or not they're problems that are manifested because of play or manifested because of scheme or manifested because of play calling or all the above, there is problems with the offense. But knowing that, he decides to sit the offense, sort of kind of rewarding them for what? So, but I still come out on the side of rest. And honestly, I don't care who the opponent is. You got to play the best to once again be the best. And everybody should be looking at the Eagles saying, we don't want to play them. The Eagles, as the defending Super Bowl champions, should not be looking at other teams going, oh, no, I don't want to play the Seattle Seahawks or the Rams or the 49ers. No, when you're the champions, people look at you and say that about you. And the fact that we as a fan base, and there's a lot of us out there, and it was a pretty big topic today, had that fear of playing the 49ers. Who cares? Who cares? Don Mattingly is the new Phillies bench coach. I think he's brought here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be the next manager. Even though he said in his press conference today that he had no desire to manage anymore. But, he didn't say he didn't have a desire to interim manage anymore. So that's key here. Talked about the Eagles schedule. It is out. The 2026 schedule is released. Opponents only. Of course, we already know who their opponents will be. We went over that. Talked Oscar Ekman, player of Flyers prospect, and Derek Jeter power player card. So full night on the program, and that's going to wrap me up, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Tomorrow on the program, I will be back, but it'll be a twofer. So I'll be doing I haven't even showed this thing at all this week. Not only will I be doing the final word at 9, but I will be coming right at you, we'll probably interrupt the final word and get right into the Clear the Ice Flyer postgame show. As I got Flyers Ducks. Mike Lotto has Flyers Leafs on Thursday, and I got the Flyers Lightning on Saturday. So a full week on the post-game program and all the other programs that we have on the network. Once again, here's our schedule for the week. Make sure you check it all out. It's there. And if you've missed any of it, you can either A, look on our social medias, B, look on our YouTube, or C, wait till Saturday when we replay it all again. So, there's no excuse to miss anything on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Until we talk again, folks, you guys have a great rest of your night. I will talk to you tomorrow. See ya.